So kind of a two-part follow-up question on that. What are the specific types of like arthritis? Like what are the specific types of things that you guys use PRP for that? And are there different kinds like knee arthritis or like shoulder pain or elbow pain? Are there certain areas of the body that you have seen for whatever reason this works really well in people's knees, for whatever reason this works really well for this condition in the elbow? Like talk to me about what kind of conditions, and then if there are higher degrees of success in varying conditions.
Yeah, well, there's two primary products we should talk about. We talked about PRP, and
Yep.
let's go through the second one first, and then I'll answer that question. The second product is something we call bone marrow concentrate. So it's a PRP because it's blood-based, but we get the blood from the bone marrow cavity. And that sounds scary, but it's really a simple procedure to access the blood. It's a fancy blood draw, basically. I tell people, if you can handle a dentist, you can handle this. It's not a huge deal, okay? And we keep you comfortable when you do it. So we get the blood from the bone marrow cavity, and in that blood are what we call progenitor cells. Stem cell is kind of a tricky word because it's so broad. Progenitor cells are cells that are stem-like. They're similar to stem cells, and they can make new tissue. But more importantly, they control and coordinate the healing process similar to platelets, but more powerfully. Okay, that's a simple way of thinking about it. I think it's very complex science. So BMC, or bone marrow concentrate, is a PRP plus some of these high doses, I should say, of these progenitor cells. PRP, just the platelets. BMC, stem cells or progenitor cells, if you will, and platelets. Okay, I hope that's clear. It's a bit complex in terms of the nomenclature. PRP is used for common itises or common orthopedic problems, bursitis, tendonitis, lower level tendon injuries and tears, partial thickness tears, things like that. Okay, and the data on them is very strong, and as long as they're dosed accordingly and correctly, they work really well. Now, sometimes, depending on the chronicity, how long someone's had a problem, it can be more than one PRP that's necessary. If we get to it early, sometimes one is enough. If they've had it for 10 years, sometimes we got to hit it a couple of times. But for bread and butter orthopedic conditions, PRP works very well. And that's plenty of data to prove that and support that. For arthritic conditions or anything in the joint, what we have seen is PRP works, but not long enough. It doesn't hold, and you have to redo them. So what we've been studying over the last 10 years is adding the progenitors or stem-like cells and the PRP together. And what we're seeing is a much longer duration of effect. So when we do a progenitor or a stem cell treatment, my intent is that that patient gets years, plural, of relief from a single application. That's what we're after. Now, we don't get that every single time. I wish, but we don't get it every single time. But that's what our goal is. So they're a little bit different, and the way we use them is a little bit different. More severe problems that need more anabolic stimulation to help, they're more of a cell therapy, not just PRP. Bread and butter itis is, I've had tennis elbow for 6 months. It's killing me. I can't get past it. I tried PT. I tried anti-inflammatories. I'm not better. PRP. And the data is really strong on that. So that's how we kind of gauge it from a simplistic way of thinking.
Gotcha. So you basically probably, when getting to know the potential patient or consumer, you ask them about the severity of the pain, the duration of their pain, and then you kind of make an assessment, obviously based off of your conversation with them and what you guys know with the science, and you make a decision to go PRP or BMC, depending on which one you feel like is appropriate.
Sure. I mean, it's a full comprehensive evaluation, including
Right.
imaging. I mean, we don't like to do these therapies without imaging. In fact, it's not a good idea because you have to make an educated guess. And when people are spending their hard-earned money on a therapy like this, you don't want to make an educated guess. If you guess wrong, they're not better, and we wasted money. So it is a comprehensive evaluation that's necessary to be as specific as possible, to set those odds and expectations as closely as possible, but then also to know what biologic to make and where to put it. These are guided procedures. So like with a steroid shot, you just got to kind of get it in the area. These go into the injury. So if it's a torn tendon, the PRP or the cell therapy goes in the tear. It goes in the joint, okay? So there's a precision of the delivery of the biologic that's as important as the makeup of the biologic and the quality controls of the biologic itself. Both have to be right to get the maximal outcomes. So we go through that process. And again, there's a very specific series of things that go into it. People come here, and I always say this, it's easy to practice this medicine poorly. It's not hard. You get a little machine that makes you PRP, and you put some blood in there, it spins out, and you squirt it in the joint, and some people get better, and that's wonderful. When people come to our clinic, they say, I had no idea all that was involved. They come in and they do surveys, and they meet, and we go through this long, lengthy process and consent and marking, and then the blood is drawn, and then we go through all of their cell counts with them, and then they're here sometimes for a couple of hours for what they thought was, I'm just going to go get a little injection.
Yeah.
So to do it really well is meticulous, right?
For sure.
And that's the difference between decent and great outcomes from what we've seen.
I love it. I love it.